She had diamonds on her hands, millions of people watching her life, and a world that looked perfect from every angle. Then one message changed everything: no more villas, no more yachts, no more applause. This is not a story about losing money, it is a story about losing an identity, and discovering who you are, when no one is watching. Her name was Sierra Vale. She wore diamonds like sunlight, she held her phone like a mirror, she spoke softly, she smiled often, she filmed the ocean from a white terrace, she said, "This is my morning, this is my coffee, this is my view," and the lens adored her followers adored her too. They called her queen, they called her goals, they asked where she bought the bracelet, where she bought the dress, where she bought the life. Sierra always answered with a link, and a wink, and a line that sounded like kindness. She said, "Work hard and dream big," she said, "Keep your standards high," she said, "Never settle," and behind her voice there was always music, soft piano, soft waves, soft laughter from somewhere off camera. The terrace belonged to a villa on a cliff in Malibu. The villa belonged to her husband, Grant Holloway. He was never the star, but he was always the shadow that paid for the light. Grant liked quiet mornings. He liked numbers, he liked signing papers that moved money like air. Sierra liked sparkle, she liked the moment a necklace caught the sun, she liked the tiny gasp people made in the comments, she liked being watched, and she told herself it was her job. She woke up to messages, she woke up to gifts, she woke up to brand deals that arrived like flowers, she opened velvet boxes and smiled, she slid rings onto her fingers and said, "Thank you guys," she said, "You deserve to see beauty." She said beauty is a mindset. Then she turned the camera, she showed the pool. She showed the yacht, she showed a table set with crystal, she showed a driver opening a door, she showed the city lights at night, and every scene felt like a promise, like if you watched long enough you might step through the screen. She kept her life clean and bright, no messy details, no heavy stories, no hard words, only soft words, only smooth days, only golden hours. Grant rarely appeared, sometimes a hand entered the frame, a watch, a cuff, a laugh. Sierra called him my love, my rock. My best friend. She said he believed in her, she said he spoiled her, and the audience liked that too. They liked the fairy tale, they liked the simple math, pretty girl plus rich husband equals perfect life. Sierra did not correct them, she did not say that some mornings she felt like a guest in her own house, she did not say she had never paid a bill, she did not say she did not know what things cost, she did not say she had built her page on a stage someone else owned, she just kept filming. Day after day, and the numbers grew, 1 million, 2 million, then more, the comments became louder, the requests became sharper: show us the closet, show us the jet, show us the view from the yacht at midnight. Sierra smiled and gave them what they wanted, because attention felt like air, because without it her world felt too quiet, because she feared quiet, she feared the moment she would hear her own thoughts. Then one afternoon the quiet arrived anyway, it arrived as a missed call, then another, then a message from Grant that was only 3 words: "We need to talk." Sierra stared at the screen, she held the phone very still, the diamonds on her wrist stayed bright, but her stomach went cold. She told herself it was nothing, she told herself it was business, she told herself Grant always had storms and always found the sun again. She walked through the villa, past the white walls, past the art, past the flowers. She looked for him, she found him in his office, no music, no smile. Only files on the desk, only a tight jaw, only eyes that did not meet the camera. Sierra whispered, "Are you okay?" and Grant said, "Sit down," and the way he said it made the room feel smaller. Sierra sat, she crossed her legs the way she did on camera, then she forgot to hold the pose. Grant slid a folder toward her, his hands trembled a little, not fear exactly, more like exhaustion. He said, "There are problems." Sierra laughed once, a small laugh that tried to make air lighter. She said, "What kind of problems?" Grant looked at the window, then back at the folder. He said debt, he said lawsuits, he said deals that went bad. He said the market turned and the people who smiled at dinners stopped answering calls. Sierra blinked fast, she said, "But we are fine." Grant breathed out, he said, "We are not fine." He said, "The accounts are frozen." He said, "The house is collateral." He said, "The yacht is not ours the way you think." He said, "Most of it is paper and loans and timing." Sierra felt her throat tighten, she wanted to ask how, she wanted to ask why he never told her, but the words fell behind a wall inside her. She only said, "What do we do?" Grant rubbed his eyes, he said, "We talk to Attorneys, we sell what we can, we cut everything. Sierra pictured her feed, she pictured the next week of posts, she pictured the scheduled brand video about a new jewelry line, she pictured the comments, and she felt a strange shame, not for the money, but for needing strangers to believe she still had it. She said, "Can this stay private?" Grant gave her a look that was both sad and sharp. He said, "It will not stay private, not for long. Because people who are owed money do not whisper, they knock, and they knock hard." Sierra's phone buzzed again, a friend, a message, a link. She opened it and saw a headline. It used Grant's name, it used words like investigation, like insolvency, like assets. She read it twice, her eyes moved but her mind did not. Grant said, "There is more." Sierra did not want more, but he kept talking. He said, "I need a divorce." He said, "It is the cleanest way to protect you from the fallout." He said, "It is already prepared." Sierra stared at him, her lips parted. She said, "Divorce." Grant nodded once. He looked older than yesterday. He said, "I am sorry." Sierra felt a hot wave rise behind her eyes, but she did not cry, not yet. She said, "This is crazy." Grant said, "This is survival." Sierra stood up too fast, the chair scraped, she paced. She said, "You want to leave me?" Grant said, "No, I want to limit the damage." Sierra said, "You are abandoning me." Grant stood and walked to her. He did not touch her. He kept a respectful distance like she was made of glass. He said, "Sierra, I built a structure, you lived in the top floor, you never had to see the basement, now the basement is flooding." Sierra swallowed. She thought of her followers, she thought of being seen, she thought of the way she had always edited away anything ugly, she thought of the way she had said, "Manifest it, you can have it all." She whispered, "What about me?" Grant's voice softened. He said, "You are smart, you are strong, you will be okay." Sierra almost laughed again, because she did not feel smart, she did not feel strong, she felt like a person who had forgotten how to stand without leaning on a wall. That night she did what she always did, she opened the camera, she filmed the sunset, she added soft music, she typed a caption about gratitude, she posted it, and within minutes the comments changed. Some people still wrote hearts, but others wrote questions, others wrote screenshots, others wrote the headline. Sierra's stomach sank deeper, she refreshed again and again. The algorithm felt like a judge, and the audience felt like a crowd that had smelled blood in the water. Then the next morning the doors began to knock, not literally at first, but in emails, in calls, in legal notices, and the first brand deal vanished, then the second, then the third, and in the middle of the noise Sierra saw a message from a woman she did not know. The subject line said, "You owe us." And for the first time in years Sierra did not know how to smile for the screen. The divorce moved fast, faster than Sierra could understand. Papers arrived, signatures were required, terms were explained in voices that sounded far away. She signed where they pointed, she nodded when they spoke. She told herself this was temporary, that the storm would pass, that Grant would recover, that the life would return. But the villa emptied instead. Art was removed, furniture was tagged, the yacht was listed, and the staff disappeared one by one, each goodbye polite and distant, as if she had already become someone else. Sierra packed clothes she loved into boxes, then had to choose which boxes to keep. She touched dresses she had worn once for photos, she touched shoes that still smelled new, and she felt foolish, like a child who had been playing dress-up in a house that was never hers. The final day came quietly. A driver took her not to another villa, but to a small furnished apartment across town. No ocean view, no terrace, only a narrow balcony and traffic sounds. The driver wished her luck, then left. Sierra stood alone with her boxes. The silence pressed in. She placed her phone on the counter and filmed out of habit, then stopped. She did not know what to show. She sat on the floor and stared at the wall. Hours passed. The feed changed without her. New faces filled the space she once occupied. She posted less, then almost not at all. When she did post, the numbers fell, likes dropped, comments thinned. Some people wrote, "You changed," some wrote, "Where is the luxury?" Some wrote, "We miss the old you." Sierra wanted to answer, but she did not know what to say, because the old her was gone and the new one had no filter yet. Bills arrived, real bills, numbers that mattered, rent, utilities, storage, things she had never managed. She learned quickly, or she would fail. She sold jewelry quietly, pieces that once meant status now meant survival. She avoided filming her hands. She avoided mirrors, she avoided places where people might recognize her. One afternoon she walked into a grocery store and froze, so many choices, so many prices. She stood in the aisle reading labels like a foreign language. She remembered how she used to say money is energy. Now money felt heavy, like something that resisted her. At night she lay in bed scrolling through old posts, her smile wide, her skin glowing, comments flowing like praise. She felt grief, not only for the life, but for the version of herself who believed it was real. Weeks passed, then months. The legal noise faded. Grant became a name she saw in news updates, not a voice she heard. They spoke once, briefly. He said, "I hope you are okay." She said, "I am trying." Then the call ended. Sierra deleted some posts, then more. She archived the perfect life piece by piece, until her page looked empty, and with the emptiness the audience left. Sponsors stopped asking, messages slowed, silence returned, this time deeper, heavier. She took a job she never imagined, managing social media for a small local cafe. The owner recognized her, but did not treat her like a star. He said, "Can you help us get more customers?" Sierra nodded. She learned to show coffee not as luxury but as warmth. She filmed hands, steam, morning light, no diamonds, no yacht, just real moments. The page grew slowly, but honestly, and for the first time Sierra felt tired in a good way, the kind of tired that comes from effort, not posing. One evening after closing she walked home. She passed a park. Children laughed. Dogs pulled on leashes. The sky was orange, not for a filter, just because it was. Sierra stopped. She breathed in, and she realized something small and strange. She was not afraid of the quiet anymore. She was starting to hear herself again, and that voice did not ask for applause, it asked for rest. The apartment became familiar, the creak in the floor, the hum of the fridge, the neighbor who practiced guitar too late. Sierra learned its rhythm. She learned her own rhythm too. Mornings started early, not for makeup or filming, but for work. She dressed simply. She walked instead of waiting for a car. She noticed things she had edited out of life before: cracks in sidewalks, birds on wires, people with tired eyes and real smiles. At the cafe she answered messages, planned posts, cleaned tables when it was busy. No one cared how many followers she once had. They cared if the cups were clean, if the page was updated, if the place felt welcoming. Sierra felt useful, a new feeling, awkward but warm. Sometimes customers recognized her. They whispered, they stared, then they lost interest. She was not performing, she was just there. Nights were harder. The old urge returned, to open the camera, to explain, to reclaim attention. She resisted. She told herself not everything needs to be shared, not every moment needs approval. She cooked simple meals, she burned some, she laughed alone, she cried alone too, but the tears felt private, safe. One evening she found an old box, jewelry she had not sold, a bracelet she wore in her first viral video. She held it. The stone still caught the light, but it felt heavy now. She put it back. The next day she sold it, not with sadness, but with closure. With the money she paid bills ahead of time, a small victory. Her page remained quiet, but she started something new, a second account, no name attached, no face at first. She shared small moments, coffee steam, morning light on a bus window, notes from her walks, simple thoughts. The account grew slowly. Strangers commented about how calm it felt, how real. Sierra did not correct them. She smiled. One afternoon a message arrived, from a young woman. She wrote, "I used to follow you. I felt bad when everything disappeared. Now I feel better seeing this." Sierra stared at the screen for a long time. She replied, "Thank you." That was all. She did not explain, she did not justify, she did not sell a dream, she just connected. At work the cafe owner trusted her more. He asked her opinion. He listened. Sierra realized she liked being heard without being adored, liked being valued without being envied. Her body changed, less tension in her shoulders. Her sleep deepened. The mirror showed a different face. Softer, quieter. One weekend she volunteered to help at a local event. She carried boxes, she handed out flyers. Her hands got dirty, and she felt proud, not because anyone watched, but because she finished something. When she returned home that night she sat on the balcony, traffic below, stars faint above. She thought of the villa, the ocean, the diamonds, and felt no ache, only distance, like remembering a story she once told, but no longer lived. Sierra understood then that the audience had never known her, and she had never known herself, not really. And that this new life, smaller, slower, was not a punishment, it was an introduction. Time moved differently now, weeks felt solid, not slippery. Sierra stopped counting milestones, she counted days worked, meals cooked, walks taken. The cafe page grew steady, not explosive, but real. People came in and said we saw you online. The owner smiled, he thanked Sierra, she felt a quiet pride. Her second account kept breathing, she shared less often, but with care. A bench in the park, rain on glass. A sentence about learning to wait. Comments came slowly, thoughtful, no rush, no pressure. One evening she met Claire, a barista who worked nearby. They talked while closing, about rent, about dreams that changed shape, about being tired and still going. It felt easy, no posing, no comparison, just conversation. They started walking home together sometimes. Laughter replaced background music. Sierra noticed how good it felt to be unedited. One day a former brand manager wrote to her, asking if she wanted to collaborate again. Smaller budget, simpler content. Sierra read the message twice. She felt the old spark flicker, then fade. She replied politely, she said no thank you. She closed the app. She did not regret it. Money was still tight, but honest. She knew where every dollar went. She planned, she learned, she felt capable. Capable was new and precious. She called her parents more often, conversations longer, less rushed. She listened more than she spoke. She stopped performing even for family. Another small shift, another release. One afternoon she walked past a jewelry store. Diamonds glowed behind glass. She paused, then smiled, not longing, not bitterness, just recognition. She knew that shine now, and she knew its cost. Her page from the past still existed in screenshots, in compilations. Sometimes strangers sent them to her. She did not block them. She did not explain. She let the images fade on their own. At the cafe a customer asked, "Are you that girl from before?" Sierra said yes, simply. The woman nodded, said, "You look calmer." Sierra thanked her, and meant it. That night she wrote in a notebook, something she had never shared online. She wrote about fear, about silence, about learning how to stand without applause. The words stayed on paper, and that felt right. Months later the cafe expanded, a second location. The owner asked Sierra to help lead the launch. She worked harder than ever, but with joy. Opening day was loud, messy, imperfect. People spilled drinks. Lines formed, laughter filled the space. Sierra stood behind the counter, tired, smiling, and realized she had not checked her phone once. And when she finally did, there was no rush of need, only messages from Claire asking if she wanted dinner. Sierra locked up, walked into the night, and felt rich in a way no camera had ever captured. Life kept unfolding without announcements. Sierra stopped waiting for big moments. She trusted small ones, mornings with sunlight through thin curtains, coffee brewed just right, walks where no one hurried her. She and Claire grew closer, not fast, not loud, just steady. Dinners cooked together, shared silence, shared laughter, no need to impress. Sierra noticed how different connection felt without an audience, lighter, safer. She did not measure herself through reflection anymore, she felt present. One afternoon an invitation arrived. A podcast wanted her story, the rise and fall, the lesson, the drama. Sierra read the outline. She felt tired before she even answered. She declined. She did not want her past packaged again. She wanted it lived. Her second account reached a quiet milestone, not millions, but enough to feel seen. Comments spoke of comfort, of honesty, of relief. Sierra answered some, left others. She did not owe anyone access. This boundary felt powerful. One evening while closing the cafe, the power went out. Darkness filled the room. Customers laughed. Phones lit faces. Sierra found candles. The space glowed warm. People stayed, talked, waited. It felt human. She realized she loved moments like this, unscripted, imperfect. Later that night she walked home under streetlights. She thought of the girl in diamonds. She did not judge her anymore. She understood her. That girl wanted safety, admiration, certainty. Sierra had learned that none of those came from shine. They came from trust, effort, presence. Money still mattered, but it no longer defined her worth. She saved, she planned, she felt grounded. One weekend she visited the ocean alone, not for content, just to sit. Waves moved endlessly, indifferent to success or failure. Sierra breathed deeply. She felt small and free. She left without taking a photo. Back at home she opened her notebook. She wrote about gratitude without hashtags, about love without labels, about a life that finally fit. She slept easily, dreams quiet, steady, and when she woke, she did not reach for the phone, she reached for the day. The seasons changed almost without notice. Sierra felt it in the air, in the way light arrived later, in the way people slowed. She welcomed it. Change no longer scared her, it felt natural, like breathing. The cafe became a second home, familiar faces, regular orders, shared jokes. Sierra trained new staff, she listened, she guided, she learned how to lead without control, without performance. Claire moved in, not with ceremony, just with a few boxes, an extra toothbrush, shared groceries. Shared mornings. They built routines gently, respecting space, respecting silence. Love felt quieter than movies, but deeper. One night Sierra received a message from a former follower. They wrote, "I stopped chasing what you showed and started chasing what you live now. Thank you." Sierra read it slowly. She felt something settle inside her, not pride, not relief, something like alignment. She replied, "Take care," and meant it. Her past felt like a closed chapter, not hidden, just finished. She did not erase it, she did not celebrate it, she carried it like experience. One afternoon she taught a small workshop at the cafe, helping local owners understand social media. No glamour, just tools, honesty, patience. People listened, took notes, asked questions. Sierra realized she enjoyed teaching more than showing, giving more than impressing. Walking home later she passed a billboard with a luxury ad. Perfect skin, perfect smile, promise of a better life. She smiled softly, she knew better. Now, that night she and Claire sat on the couch, tired, content. Sierra rested her head on Claire's shoulder. No camera, no story, just presence. She felt safe, not because life was easy, but because she was real inside it, and that was enough. A year passed without markers, no anniversary posts, no throwbacks. Sierra noticed it only when she realized she no longer remembered the exact day everything fell apart. The memory had softened, lost its sharp edge. Life felt full in a quiet way. Mornings began with shared coffee, evenings with simple plans, sometimes nothing at all, and that felt rich. The cafe thrived, not perfect, but alive. Sierra handled problems calmly now. Broken machines, late deliveries, tired staff. She solved what she could, accepted what she could not. She trusted herself. One afternoon a young woman came in, nervous, holding her phone. She asked if Sierra had time. She said she wanted to be an influencer. She wanted the life, the travel, the attention. Sierra listened. She did not interrupt. She saw herself in that hope. When the woman finished, Sierra smiled gently. She said, "Build something that still works when no one watches." The woman looked confused, then thoughtful. They talked longer, about skills, about patience, about learning before showing. When the woman left she thanked Sierra twice. Sierra hoped she would remember, but she knew that learning comes when it comes. That evening Sierra walked home alone. Claire was working late. The city felt calm, lights warm, people moving with purpose. She felt part of it, not above, not outside, part. She opened her second account and wrote a short line, simple, no advice, no promise, just a truth. Slow days are still days. The responses came quietly, hearts, short notes, silence too, and all of it felt fine. At home she cooked dinner, she waited, she enjoyed the waiting. When Claire arrived they ate together, talked about small things, laughed. The night ended without spectacle. Sierra lay in bed later, thinking about how far she had come, not upward, but inward. She understood now that meaning did not need an audience, it needed attention, her own attention, given gently, honestly, and she slept with the calm of someone who no longer needed to be seen to exist. One quiet morning Sierra woke before the alarm, the room still dark, the city breathing softly outside. She lay still and noticed something new, a feeling of steadiness, not excitement, not fear, just balance. She remembered how she used to wake up reaching for the phone, checking numbers before her feet touched the floor. Now the phone rested silent, unimportant. She smiled. At the cafe later that day a small problem turned into a lesson. A new employee made a mistake, apologized too many times, eyes full of worry. Sierra remembered herself, always afraid to fail publicly. She spoke calmly. She said, "Mistakes are part of learning." The employee relaxed. Trust formed in that moment. Sierra felt it. Leadership was not control, it was safety. the day moved on, cups clinked, orders flowed, life continued. After work she met Claire by the river. They walked slowly, talking about nothing urgent. About ideas for the future, not dreams of escape, but plans of building, maybe a small place of their own one day, maybe teaching more, maybe staying exactly where they were. All options felt open, and none felt desperate. Sierra watched the water move. She thought of the yachts she once filmed, floating symbols of arrival. Now the river felt better, honest, moving forward without display. That evening she received one more message from the past, a documentary producer asking for a dramatic comeback story, Rise Fall Redemption. Sierra read it, felt nothing. She deleted it. She did not need a narrative arc anymore. Her life was not content, it was lived. Later at home she cleaned, folded clothes, simple tasks, grounding tasks. She realized she trusted tomorrow, not because it promised success, but because she knew she could meet it as she was, and that was enough. The last thing Sierra did with her old account was not a post, not a story, not an explanation. She simply let it rest. It faded naturally, like a light turned off in an empty room. There was no goodbye, because goodbyes belong to performances. Life continued, seasons turned, the cafe became a place people trusted. Sierra became someone people relied on, not for fantasy, but for consistency. Claire laughed more. Sierra laughed with her. Their home felt lived in, not styled. One morning Sierra stood in front of the mirror, no makeup, no jewelry. She saw lines, softness, truth. She liked what she saw, not because it was perfect, but because it was hers. She remembered the girl in diamonds, how she chased reflection, how she feared disappearance. Sierra felt compassion. That girl did not know another way yet, now she did. One quiet afternoon Sierra sat alone in the cafe after closing, sunlight on empty tables. She thought about meaning, about how it had arrived not with applause, but with presence, not with luxury, but with effort. She opened her notebook and wrote a final line, simple, steady, I am here. She closed the book, turned off the lights, and stepped outside. The city welcomed her without noticing, and that was the greatest freedom she had ever known.